Do you have emotional issues? I know that's a weird thing to ask somebody, but all of us have our moments, right? Happy, sad, furious, outraged, overjoyed, blissful moments. We've got them all, right? But sometimes they can get a little overwhelming no matter what they are. In those cases, we need to be prepared for those kind of moments. We need some emotional maintenance, right? We need to maintain our emotions and stay healthy and happy so that we can serve all those people around us that we love and care about. So, my guest today is a very special guest. She specifically helps people maintain their emotions. I know that sounds crazy, right? But she is an emotional health coach. And there are moments when you just need someone like that. So today we're going to learn all about it. We're going to have a little bit of fun and we're going to learn how to maintain our emotions. Stay tuned. Let's have some fun. Hi, I'm Honey Gregory, and welcome to my channel, Perpetual Learning. And you know what I always say, if not learning, you're dying, because if you're not learning, you're not growing. So if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So everybody needs to grow. We all need to learn. And today I've really got a great special guest that I can't wait to share with you. I met her in my networking group and she's just adorable. I love her to death. She's a mom. She's a Christian, beautiful lady, goes to church and she's a wife, she's a busy, busy woman, but she started her own business and we all need this. So when I say all, I mean all. I'm not excluding anybody here. She has an emotional coach business. So, emotional health coach business. So, we all have those moments when, we're going a little crazy about something. So, I want to welcome my friend from my networking group, Jennifer Davis. Thank you and welcome, Jennifer.
Hello, hello, and thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate this. I am so excited about this because I love how you started out. You're talking about if we're not learning, we're not growing. And that's
Correct.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think there are three big areas in our life that we need to be constantly learning in. And that is your mental health,
Mm.
that is spiritual health,
Hmm.
and your physical. Now, going back to mental, I'm talking about emotional, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
so you're not growing in those areas. There's got to be atrophy going on, and you
Right.
constantly want to be working at that. So I love how you opened up with that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. And so, you recognizing that this situation happens for people and taking the time to learn and become this coach. So why don't you give us a little bit of background, like what in the world made you think, I think I'm going to be an emotional health coach? I mean, like where'd that come from? How did you get in this business? How did you find this passion?
Yeah, great question. I used to work, first of all, in the school system. So I worked with kids and I love working with kids. But my passion was always teenagers. And then I married a wonderful guy. He is a youth minister. So we have been doing youth ministry for years now.
Mm,
My goodness,
nice.
probably at least 15 years, if not more. And, as I'm going through this and dealing with teenagers, they need help emotionally.
Yes.
Okay. And I love working with them, but they really needed. So I needed to get some skills underneath my belt to really help them out to really understand what's going on with them. So
Mm.
it just has really fit into what my husband and I consider our ministry.
Oh, that's lovely. So you saw a problem and you've created a solution. These children that were in pain. I tell you what, it is harder on teenagers than people think. I mean, my daughter's always like, "Oh, this or that." I'm like, seriously? I remember when we didn't have food in the cupboard. Uh, you live a cushy life compared to what I had. But I don't remember being depressed as a teenager, annoyed with my parents not letting me do what I wanted to do all the time, but not depressed, not sad, I don't know, I was just going through the motions and I was having, fun. But I think nowadays kids are more aware of their emotions than they've ever been. And people are more aware because there's just so much information out there like this is what depressed means, this is what this means.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about maintenance. people need to maintain their good health so that their emotions are in check. So why don't you give me a history about yourself, you've told me, about the youth group and stuff. So give us a little bit about who you are, other than you have the youth ministry, which I think is great. But give us a little bit about you, like why? I mean, what did you have to do to
Yeah.
become?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I went through a coaching process,
okay.
and that coaching process really took on form several years ago. I personally went through depression, and
Oh.
that we had several factors come. There was a move in there. My parents announced their divorce.
Mm,
Um, there was several other things that came up.
mm,
Okay, and then we moved our children from one school system to another, which that was a lot to help. I
yeah.
needed to make sure they were okay before I even checked in with myself.
Yes.
Next thing I know, I was depressed.
Well,
And
moms do
so,
that, moms do that. We put our kids first and then we forget ourselves. Yes.
exactly, we really do. We forget to take care of ourselves. And that's where I really got passionate about maintenance,
Mm.
And so I did go through a bunch of counseling. And it was counseling that I desperately needed. And then my husband and I both did it together so he could
Ooh,
understand how to help me through all my emotions that was going
yes.
on.
Yes. That's
Uh,
nice that you have a partner that was willing to do that. That's essential.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes, it is very essential, but I know that there's people out there that, hoof it alone, I guess you
Yeah.
can say,
Yeah.
and, that's where the maintenance comes along is that, I want help people maintain their emotional well-being,
Mhm.
in the midst of everything else that's going on. I wanna be that safe person that they can talk to and hash out their emotions.
Mm.
Someti My husband was wonderful, I will say, he just really helped me. But he's a man and he
Mhm.
wanted to fix the problem. Um, and I understand he wanted to make me better, and I got that. But
Yeah.
sometimes, especially as women, we just need somebody to listen to us and to
Yes.
empathize.
Yes.
So I went through the coaching process, and that was after I was pretty much over my depression. And I just decided, you know what? People can do it. Women can do it.
Yes.
Anybody can do it. It's just a matter of knowing those tools on how to get out of that emotional rut that they're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and it's a blessing to have a good man who cares. But sometimes the way they care and want to do things is not exactly the way you need it. And then you have the cases where, like, as a divorce attorney, you have women who are like their husbands don't give a freak about what's going on with them or their lives, and they don't want to try to figure it out either. So it's a blessing. But for those people who are alone, as you mentioned, what do they do? How do they find you? How would they come to someone like you? What would they go through? Like what are the processes? So tell me kind of like what would they expect if they called you up?
sure. Simply, they just give me a call, and then we'll meet for a free session. Basically, it's a session because I love to help people, but not everybody is going to match up with me, and so I basically want to give them a free session to make sure that our personalities match. Because if they feel like they can trust me, then I know I can proceed on and
Mm,
help them out. After that free session, then we pick out what type of package they want, and then once we get into to really start meeting with each other, the first few sessions are digging deep. What's causing all this emotional turmoil in it?
mm,
And then there's the what do I need to go on? The way I was trained is that we all have childhood traumas. Some of us came from good homes, some of us came from bad homes, but whether home you come from, you still have some traumas in there,
mm,
and those traumas have a habit of leaking out and getting out in the present day. So if
mhm,
you're driving down the road and some driver is like in front of you driving you nuts, more than likely he's tapping into something in your past. And so I teach
mm,
how to deal with that. That way, silly things like silly drivers or bad waitresses or waiters or whatever um, won't trigger you.
mm,
That you're just like, why am I getting so mad right now? Why is this making me so emotional? And that's what
mm.
to help people with.
Yeah, I've been there a few times myself. Like, and I'm like, why am I even mad at this? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Yeah.
like you're mad in the moment. Like I go on mama bear when someone starts doing something to my kid, and then I get it. I'm like, yeah, how dare you? That makes total sense. But if it's something just retarded, like the lady at the grocery store who won't move her cart out of the way. You're just like, get your freaking cart out of the way, in your
Yeah.
head. You're not saying it unless you're really got issues. But
Yeah.
but I'm thinking, who cares? It's like really a dumb thing to be worried about. But some people fester on that. Like you see them, they'll say something rude, they're giving you dirty looks, and then they're still stalking you on the next aisle, and you're thinking, wow,
Right.
what is going on with you? You're like really messed up. So, and they don't even know it. They don't even get it. They just think they're just going through a day. Like, I have the right to be pissed off about this. And even when it's something trivial, it's just goofy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really sad if that's where I'm really, the maintenance is let's catch you before you get to that person that you're stalking somebody in a grocery store, let's take care of you before that. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
definitely my passion. My
Let
biggest goals is to make a person feel seen, to make a person feel
mm,
loved, to make a person
oh,
feel known and heard.
nice.
And honestly, I don't think we take enough time to make sure we have somebody in our life like that.
Yeah, and 15 years ago, I would have been calling you up in a second because I was going through a really ugly situation and a lot of stress and worry. And all my family is 1,500 miles away and they don't care. And I'm like, I have no girlfriends. I have no one to talk to. And I'm like, who am I going to talk to? And you don't really want to go see a therapist because then you're like, am I crazy? Everybody's like, what's wrong with you? You're seeing a therapist, but I don't know. So I can see the extreme value in it. But how would someone know? Do I need to see a therapist, psychologist, a psychiatrist versus I need a emotional health coach? What's the difference and how do they know which one they need?
First thing is, they can definitely give me a call and
Okay.
let me know what is going on, like in that free session. If
Hmm.
it comes up that there are some pretty serious things like PTSD, some really heavy stuff that, I'm just like, I don't think I can help you out. Just
Mm.
simply because the trauma is that severe.
Oh.
And so at that point, I'd probably direct them to somebody else.
Mhm.
Maybe they need a psychologist because they need to get on medication. That is a possibility too. But I feel like, especially coming out of COVID, so many people have felt like they're just simply alone.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be that person who can really empathize with them and saying, you know what, you're not alone and you're okay and you can get through this.
So you're more than a best friend. So what kind of steps would just give us an idea? Let's just say someone comes to you and they're having some anger issues or something. What would be the steps that you would suggest to them? What give us a snapshot of what that would look like with your services?
Sure. The first thing I would do is make sure they're connected with their heart.
Mm,
Do they understand the emotions? Sometimes we don't even simply just understand what's going on. We just know we don't feel good.
mhm,
First thing I would do is to make sure you're connected with your emotions. Once you're connected with your emotions, then we'll start talking about, okay, let's talk about what happened to you this week. Did something trigger you? More than likely, we're triggered somewhere.
mhm.
And great. What is that? What do you remember from your past? That could, what's in there. Great. Let's go back into that memory. Let's clean out that memory. I'm a gardener. I
Mm,
love to garden. And I know that if you have plants that are in bad soil, they're
mhm.
not going to grow.
Right.
They're just going to grow. And so that's what I do is I go in there and dig down deep into that soil, find out what's there. We'll take out, those bad memories, and then we'll just replace it with something that they honestly feel strong enough that they can move on.
Now, is this kind of like now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember hearing someone, I don't even remember who now, but talking about kind of regressing back, finding those negative situations and memories, and then they do something to kind of like tapping or something that kind of like disrupts that memory to help you reprogram your brain so you're not like triggered as easily. I mean, is that kind of like the same similar or one of the tools? Or I mean, I don't even remember where I learned this at, but is that
Yeah,
something?
it sounds very similar. What we simply do is to make you feel safe in whatever that situation that you didn't
Mhm.
feel safe at once. And so we bring something in that helps. Now, I'm not going to give away all my secrets,
Well, no, no,
but
no. I'm just saying I've never been, but
yeah.
I just, I've learned different tidbits because I often suggest it to my clients. Like, hey, you might look into something like this, because going through divorce is traumatic on its own.
Yeah.
But the reasons that they're in my office in the first place is because of things that have happened in their life, either in their past and they're bringing it into their marriage, or in the marriage and it's not getting resolved. And it's just this daily thing going on.
That's
So,
exactly right. Basically what has happened. And I think that we all, like I said, we all have those childhood traumas.
yeah,
It could be as severe as some type of abuse, or it could be just simply because you went to the fair and you didn't get the bear that you wanted. It could be anything, but you go back into that memory and you heal that child, that inner child. And then once you see that that child is healed, it's I can't even explain how it works. I just seen it work. It's like fingerlings that come out and
yeah,
they start affecting all the areas in the life because that child feels safe.
yeah.
So they start feeling safe in other areas.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, yeah, I've seen it in lots of relationships. It could be marriage relationships, it could be friendships, it could be, you're just really can't get along with your coworkers, whatever it is, extended family, moms, dads, sisters, brothers.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I can't explain it. It just works its way out. It really does.
Well, I remember early on when I was younger and I was modeling and acting, and people were always calling me a bimbo and a
Mm,
Barbie and dumb, dumb blonde. Um, and that hurt me for a long, long time. Like I was
yeah,
kind of walking around like, why are they calling me this? I mean, like, just because I have I was born blonde hair, I get this title. And it used to bother me. And then so for myself, I just had to pray about it and give it to God and say, you know what, I'm just not gonna, these people obviously have a problem, you know, and had to do a lot of forgiveness of them and myself, and for being angry about it, because obviously these people had some sort of insecurities and emotional problems of their own, and they were trying
right.
to project that onto me in some way to make themselves feel better. And once I learned that, for me that was a real eye opener, and it helped me with a lot of future crazy people out there who are so insecure that they're doing things that are unkind to other people. But I
Yeah.
still to this day get it. People walk into a networking group and go, oh, you're a Barbie. And I want to say, well, you're this and that, And I have to pray to Jesus, man. I'm like, oh, Lordy, don't let me say it. Keep my lips closed, because they're obviously mentally ill and they need some help. So now I know who to send them to. I'm just going to go see Jennifer. You got issues.
I would definitely say society has shifted, and I think the shift is good. I still think we have a long way of going,
Mm,
but I think the shifting society is that hey, let's look at the person, not their physical attributes. That is just that's your first impression.
yeah.
What is down deeper? What is their story?
Yeah.
And I think I'm hoping society is shifting, saying, okay, what is this person's story? Because you are a beautiful person walking in and you look all put together. And I that and that's what I think. You got it all put together. I don't think of anything else. But you still have a story.
Yeah.
And what is your story?
Yeah.
And that is my biggest passion. What is the story? How does it affect your life? And where does it come out? And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I probably need to see. I probably got some latent issues back in the day that I just kind of prayed over and let them go, but I try not to. And I know it's hard. And because a lot of people aren't even aware what they're
Mhm.
doing is mirroring how they feel about themselves on the inside, because when you're attacking somebody else and you're hurting that person, you're giving them emotional trauma, and
Mhm.
it's unkind. But I think a lot of people grew up in a household where, their mothers and fathers were not kind to each other. They were not kind to the siblings, and siblings were not kind to each other. I mean, you just got all this stuff, and people just kind of have this mindset that, oh, this is just normal family stuff.
Yeah,
Being rude is not normal family stuff, but people have generationally, learned these behaviors. Um, and until they get some knowledge information, which, hopefully a lot of people will see this and can learn that that's not normal. That, and you can stop it. You can stop it by making a decision, a conscious decision, change your way of thinking, and coming to see someone like yourself, um, and work through those things so that you feel better and you can help other people. Now, can you
absolutely.
can you work with people from anywhere, or are you just like licensed in the state of Indiana, or can you coach anyone from anywhere? So if someone from, another state saw this, can they call you up and get some help?
Absolutely. I work via Zoom.
Okay.
Um, and or Facebook calls or whatever. So I can see anybody basically anywhere.
Good.
I prefer that they do it at their home because that's
Mm,
where they feel the most comfortable. And
mm,
you know, they we quote call each other up and they're comfortable. They're in their comfortable spot, and I want them to feel safe in that moment. And then I can go through and talk about what's really going on.
mm.
um, I feel like when they're in their home, they're able to open up more.
Nice. Yeah. Most people are more comfortable when they're in their own safe place, as long as there's
Mhm,
not trauma going on in that place.
exactly. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, do they have homework? Do they have to do homework?
I usually do go. That's my youth group kids are always just like, oh, they call me JJ. My
Aw.
youth group kids, they're just like, oh, you're always giving homework, and I'm like, you know what, you learn by homework, and it's not
Yeah.
like, okay, read 12 books by next week. It's definitely something that's very specific, and I can't like tell you what homework. It's more geared toward the person. That one person I'm working with recently, I was just like, okay, I want you to start physically journaling. And
Mhm.
then this past time, we counted up how many times we saw certain words,
Mm,
because she's like, well, I'm just never angry. And I'm
mm.
like, you, mm, I'm concerned of the fact that she never gets angry. So
So just
I'm,
holding it in, like,
I, that's what I'm
yes.
afraid.
Yeah.
I said that we talked about the different levels, and all that. And so she is journaling right now. And I said, bring it back and let's talk about that journal.
Uh-huh.
I think there's a lot of learning you can do when you start going like this,
Mhm.
that maybe a lot of the things you write down maybe not be important, but there's going to be some key tidbits in there. So
Yeah.
it could be lots of different things. One person I was just like, find what you love, find
Mm.
something you love to do. Then the next time I was like, great, how are you going to implement that in your life?
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's pretty unique and tailored to the person I work with.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So if someone's a parent and they have a teen, and, teens all each have their own individual quirks, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So a lot of things are learned or inherited from the people they're living with. But what kind of signs or things that a parent might see and think, this isn't quite just your typical teen stuff. What do we need to be looking for so we know if the child needs to come see you or if the parent needs to come see you about something?
It's hard, um, because I think teens are so tech savvy,
Mm,
so into burying themselves here on their phone, tablet,
mm,
whatever,
mhm,
um, that seeing what's real. But I think if they're totally disconnected from you, there's
mhm.
something going on.
Yeah.
And I will probably not ever see a parent and a child in like different sessions or like that. I
Mm,
need to be one or the other's hero, or not
mhm.
hero. They need to be their own hero. I need to be one or the other guide.
Right,
And
okay.
the other one will not trust me.
Mm,
If you're working with my mom, I'm not going to trust you. Or if you're
right,
working with my kid, um, I they're going to be guarded.
right.
So I'll work with one or the other, and then I'll suggest, have suggestions of where the other one can go.
Ah.
Um, but I really want to be their guide, and they need to know that they're safe with me.
Yeah, that's important. And therapists
Mhm.
usually do that too. They have a certain confidentiality and loyalty to one person,
Yeah.
or, and it's hard too. I've noticed people when they go into marriage counseling, because no matter what, when they come to me for divorce, I always ask, "Have you had marriage counseling?" "Oh yeah, we tried that." And they already have a bad attitude because they always feel like no matter what is said, the therapist is picking on them,
Yeah.
that on them. And they never feel like, that because the other person's there, well, they sided with them. And then you hear on the other side in mediation or court, or mediation or something, that the other attorney is on the other side, and the message gets back and saying, "Oh no, the therapist said your client's crazy." Like, that's funny because mine thinks you're just crazy. And it's just like, yeah, you can't really do share the same person.
Yeah.
But I think children's emotions are really important, and how parents
Mhm.
handle that's important. And I know that I've recommended a book many times, and I don't know if you can find it anymore. It's been out of print for a very long time, but it was something like how to speak so children listen, how to listen so children will speak. And I got that book when I was raising my first daughter, and it gave me a whole different perspective, because a lot of times her emotions were, to me, were just like, "What the heck? She's off the chart, man." You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she would twist my words around. I'm like, "That's the nicest woman ever, where are you coming from?" I thought, like, "She's loony," you know?
Wow.
But then when I read this book and I saw how simple my intentions were, but the teenage mind takes those words and they take the words and turn it into emotions.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, "Mom is telling me to do the dishes," it's, "My mom thinks I'm an idiot and she hates me. And now she thinks I'm and punishing me and making me do those dishes." And, it's like, no, they just need to be done. I've
Yeah.
asked 3 times, but it's
And I
so, pardon me?
and I need help,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I
But they
need
don't,
management, I need
but they,
help.
t- they take it and they twist it into an emotional experience
Mhm.
versus I'm a desperate parent looking for help. So it's good to have that person like you that they can come to, that can go, "Your mom just needs help with the dishes, dude.
Yeah.
Just do some dishes or pick up your laundry or whatever." And, um, but yeah, it's a complicated thing. And it's nice to have someone who's studied and trained and wants to work with people. And I'm assuming that your fees are comparable to going to a therapist or something like that. So if people are curious, I know they probably change, with the economy, but and over time, but just in general, is it a little less expensive to come to you first? And then if you say no, you need to go to someone else, you need deeper work or something like that, or how's that work?
Yeah, it's, definitely less expensive because I want to be accessible to those, who just simply need somebody to talk to.
Right. Right.
And if you're looking into, maybe you need to get some medication, at that point we're talking either go to your primary care doctor or a psychologist. Then that is the fees are going to jump. But for me, at introductory level, or you're just like, I need maintenance.
Mm.
I see somebody right now, she's just like, I need somebody who can help me with my spiritual side.
Mm.
And that's a possibility too. And so right now, comparatively so speaking, my fees aren't too bad. I'll say that.
Good. That's wonderful.
Hmm.
So more people, did y'all hear that? Her fees are not that bad. You can go
Yeah.
see her. You can afford it. Well, people go get their nails done to look pretty, but they don't think about going to get their mental and spiritual and emotional health done. And I think that's much more important than having, dragon nails that are 4 inches long and all kinds of decorations dangling off of them. Because yeah, that looks good, but it's just curtains, as my grandma would say. That's just window dressing. We got to fix
Yeah.
the inside of us first before we worry that much. And
Yeah.
exercise is important because that helps with your emotions too. And I know you mentioned a while ago about physical health as well.
Hmm. I think it's definitely emotional, physical, and let's see, there was three. There was
Spiritual.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Um, I focus on the two. If physical comes to play, I know some people that I could refer over, saying, "Hey,
Mm,
let's try to get all three of these areas together." Because anything that you're feeding your body,
mm,
or the fact that you're not physically, like, I love to hike, by far my favorite type of exercise.
mm,
And if I'm not moving constantly during the week,
mm.
it just gets bottled up and
Yeah.
you start sluggish. And so it's definitely works in threes, and you need to make sure those three are all working together.
Yeah. And getting out in nature, that pretty much
Mm.
solves a lot of things, especially if you
Yep.
take your shoes off and walk a little. Beware of bugs and ticks and things on the ground. But yeah, take your shoes off and walk, because grounding does most amazing things. I mean, I've been reading about grounding and I'm just like, my gosh, why do we wear
You
shoes?
When you did your presentation, you mentioned that, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to have to be more cognizant
Hmm.
the next time I go out
Yeah.
without my yard, without my shoes. Cause we have puppy dogs and we take them outside, and everything. And,
Yep.
so I need to pay more attention to that
Yeah.
next
They
time.
say 20 to 30 minutes a day at minimal, but we were created to be without shoes. We were
Hmm.
created to be grounded to this earth all day long. We slept on the ground, we walked on the ground, we ate in the ground, we ate from the ground. So it's obviously important. Our bodies are over the thousands, millions, however, whatever you believe, years have been doing this only until recently. Last couple thousand years, we're using
I
shoes all
re-
the time.
I recently read that dirt has minerals in it that can help you during depression.
Ah,
In fact, I found that while I was going through and I was like, that's the reason why I love gardening so much. That there's minerals, and when you have physical contact with dirt, those minerals are going to be absorbed through your skin, and they are there to help you get through mental depression. And I was just blown away by that.
see, and
So
that's why I love learning, because who would have
yeah,
imagined, right, that there's something in there? But, where do minerals come from? Where does your magnesium and your potassium and things come from? It comes from the dirt. People dig it up and bottle it, and you take it as a supplement,
now
and that,
they go eat dirt, but I just
no.
say I want a garden. I don't know.
Well, little kids go out and play outside and lick their
Mhm.
fingers and lick their toys after they've been in the dirt, and they eat dirt. Now you have to worry about parasites or
Yeah.
something, got to deworm your kids when they're little once in a while. But actually, the earth is good for us in so many
Mhm.
ways. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's just amazing. So if someone wanted to become a coach, if they're, because in their mind, they've been through something similar to you, and they have that, that Christian feeling like, I want to help others, I want to do something too. What would you recommend that they do on their journey of, healing and getting better and creating something wonderful to help others too? What would your tips and tricks be for them to start some similar type of coaching career?
Well, I would definitely suggest that they go through the coaching I went through. It was called Alive and Free.
Alive
Um,
and free. I'm gonna make a note.
yeah,
Live and free.
JJ Davis, Alive and Free. That is my Gmail account. But the Live and Free is the training that I went through, and it is Christian based, which I appreciate. And that is definitely a direction that you can go. I was
Hmm.
amazed at, like, I was already been through a lot of my journey
Hmm.
before I got it, but when I got it, I was like, oh man, I totally get this now. That's the reason why I do what I do. And
Mm.
so I still grew through the training I went through. And then if they decide that they want to start helping, there's so many we are created to have relationships.
Hmm.
And there are so many community programs out there that desperately need people. And they desperately need people just to let them know that they are loved.
Mm.
Um, love is not nearly um, we see way too much. If you just pop on the TV and watch that news, you
Mm.
you don't see a whole lot of love there.
Nope.
We're all starving for love and community.
Yeah.
And so there are lots of different ways that you can get involved. Get something that you're passionate about. I love working with teens, but
Hmm.
I know there are people out there that love working with littles, and I don't get preschoolers. Their bodies move way too much. Um,
Yeah, they're
so
pretty wiggly. They're wiggly. Yeah.
get that. But anyways, if you're great to work with preschoolers, then get involved in a church, and then get involved in their children's program.
Nice.
COVID, we kind of drew back
Mm.
and we stopped doing the things. And I think getting out there and getting involved in your community at some
Mhm.
capacity, whatever you're gifted for,
Mhm.
um, I think that would help. First of all, you spiritually, and to help you emotionally,
Yeah.
and you're also helping somebody else because you're definitely loving on somebody else.
Yeah. And emotionally, that does help you feel better. I know that sounds
Mhm.
weird, but I think there's some scripture in the Bible that said, like, if you want a friend, go help somebody. You
Yeah.
People sitting around going, "I'm lonely. I don't have anybody." And I used to tell my daughter, I said, "Well, the Bible says go be a friend. Go help somebody. Go." And she's like, "No, I'm too shy." Well, then you're not going to have anybody. You got to
Mhm.
come out of that comfort zone sooner or later, because that's just how it rolls. You can't
Yeah.
sit in your room. And too many teens do that this day. I was always more strict, like no social media, no phone until a certain age. You can only have so many hours on it a day. You had to get your chores and everything done first. And I'd meet people all the time who are like, they don't have any rules for their kids, but then they're just
Mhm.
complaining. They're always on their phone. They're so rude, and I'm like, duh, you're letting them.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the rules that we have at the table is there's no phones at the table. We
Yeah.
sit down, eat together,
Mhm.
hopefully as much. I got teenagers. Getting them together is hard, but when we do, there's no phones,
Yeah.
we incorporate, we talk about, hey, what's that one good thing for today? You
Mhm.
know, what is one thing that maybe you struggled with? Because we still have struggles and we still need to voice those struggles.
Yep.
And then what's something you learned? And so that develops conversations and a lot of times laughs, or,
Mm.
you really find out what's going on with them. What are they really struggling with?
Mhm.
But then you focus on the good thing, because there's always something good during your day.
Yeah,
So
and a parent has to be the safe person too. You can't judge and scold your child every
yeah.
time they say something you don't like or disagree with, or you didn't do as 50 years ago when you were a kid, because these are different times. And with my daughter, we just talk about it. I'm like, well, if it was me, I might do this or I might do that. And we just talk about options. And I said, but you got to do what's right for you, in this situation. But at least now she has a sounding board and some ideas to bounce off for herself. And, we reason through it. And, my daughter's never had spanking. She never needed one because we talked
Yeah.
and it was always a safe place. But a lot of parents don't have those skills yet. They
Yeah.
need to be brought up to speed, I guess you would say, on some how teenagers' emotions fit, how they handle their emotions. And
Yeah.
adults have to learn how to handle their emotions. So I really appreciate this, you coming on here to help people and teach people about this. You're so amazing. And you always have such a positive presence when you're in our networking group, and it's always a joy. So I really appreciate it. And I'm going to make sure you guys, subscribe, because there's going to be more great people like Jennifer on here, and like us, and hit that uh, bell, so you get all the notifications, because there's going to be more great things. Jennifer may come back in the future and give us some more information. But we're going to put all your information, Jennifer, down in the
Okay.
not subscription, description. So you just get all the information to me, what you want in there. And that way people can reach out to you from anywhere in the world. They can get help with their emotions, their spiritual side, their emotional side, and physical side, and get that proper coaching to get them through these really difficult times and get back out there from COVID. So you're a blessing. God bless you. I appreciate you so
Thank
much. Is
you.
there any
So,
last minute thing you want to say? Because we have like 2 minutes.
I would just say, just start taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly, just start taking care of yourself. If you're just like, no, I don't, maybe you don't need to get a coffee a couple times a month, because
Yes.
your emotional health is more important than that
Yeah.
coffee. Although
Yeah.
coffee does sometimes help, but um, you
Not
know,
really. Actually, I don't think it does. And I said this in my presentation. It drains your brain of all of the
I did
liquid and makes you more depressed. It's a downer.
start out with more water. I
Yeah.
think that's what you
Yeah.
said. Start out
Drink
with more
water.
water. Yeah, but no, just take the time for yourself,
Yeah.
because if you don't do it, it will start bleeding out in other areas in your life.
Yeah. And sometimes people just don't know it. And if so, family
Mhm.
members are like, what is wrong with you? Why are you such a grump? Whatever. Hello, that's a clue that you're off balance somewhere and
Yeah.
you've got some work to do. So
Yep.
call
Yep.
Jennifer, call Jennifer, call Jennifer, call Jennifer.
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Well, I appreciate you. And anytime, just let me know if you got a topic or something you want to come on, because we would love to hear and learn from you anytime.
Sounds good. Sounds
Great.
good.
Thanks,
All right.
Jennifer. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a great day. See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.